Namaskar and good evening, everyone who's watching us today. I welcome you all to BJYM Dialogue. BJYM Dialogue is the brainchild of our national president, Poonam Mahajanji, who's the MP from Mumbai North Central. She conceptualized BJYM Dialogue as a platform to connect us more to our ministers, to help us understand all the initiatives that the government is taking, especially during this lockdown period. Today on the BJYM Dialogue, we have with us Honorable Minister, Independent Charge for Youth and Sports, Shri Kiren Rijiju ji. Kiran ji, I welcome you here today.
Thank you. It's
How are you
pleasure
doing,
to be
sir?
here. I'm good. It's always good to be with the BJYM.
Thank you so much, sir. It's always lovely to have you. And while Kiranji needs no introduction, I must mention that Kiranji is one of hailed as a youth icon, and thousands of youngsters, millions of youngsters across the country look up to you, whether it's for fitness or it's for your leadership. You are a youth icon in every sense of the phrase. One thing particularly that I'd like to mention here while I introduce Kiranji is that when he was first elected as an MP at the young age of 29 years, he was placed among the top 5 opposition MPs, placing him in the same league as stalwarts like L.K. Advani ji. So you can imagine that's who is the kind of person that we've managed to get on BJYM Dialogues today. So thank you so much, Kiranji, for joining us today. And uh, before I launch into the questions which are normally asked of you, considering your department and your work with sports, what I want to talk to you about is, in the past 2 months, we've undergone a lot as a country and even globally. And what we've seen is that youth leadership has really come forward and took up this challenge. Even when I talk of my organization, BJYM, under leadership of Poonam Mahajanji, we've launched several initiatives that, like BJYM Cares, like BJYM Helpline, Blood Helpline, and we've tried to make sure that we reach the last person who needs help. And that work is not just limited to BJYM. We've managed to collaborate with multiple organizations and agencies across the country. Sir, I'd like to hear a little bit from you about how you've seen the role of youth in the past 2 months.
Well, it has been quite enriching for everybody and for me too. And we are not used to handle our department or handle the people's problem sitting at home, but we were forced to do that. But despite this lockdown, as a minister, we have been constantly working and keeping in touch with the office work as well as with the constituency and other things wherever necessary. Like I have been attending offices, and I have got 2 offices, and I swap my attendance, and sometimes I go to the Sai office, sometimes I go to the Shasti Bhavan, and most of the time functioning from home. So the change what we have seen in recent time is we are learning to cope up with the new situation and trying to use technology as much as possible without disturbing the pace of work. Now, what Modi ji has been saying for last 6 years about digital India is really come into play. Whether we have to reach benefits like transferring of money or other accounts transfer or information, everything is being done digitally. So, except the physical movement, other things are going on. That is why today India has been able to manage this challenge much more effectively than most of the countries. Even the countries like United States and some of the very highly developed European countries, they could not, manage the affairs as we have done. Despite our challenges are many fold more. Our population infrastructure, our social structure. We have large challenges. Being a developing country, we don't have that kind of facilities and infrastructure as the Western countries have, but still we have managed very well. So personally, I think uh, what has taught me in last two months is like we can and we will manage and handle any challenges, whatever it may be. We have a very strong leadership and we have a very good system in place. So our commitment is there. I think As a person also, I have learned a lot in last 2 months.
Thank you, sir. Sir, as a fellow Pahadi, I hail from the state of Uttarakhand, and I'm extremely proud the way in the past few years the attention has shifted to our small Pahadi states, and you are one of the people responsible for that. And even if we look at the incidence of corona, we've been able to contain the spread of COVID-19, especially in our northeastern states. And in your home state of Arunachal, I think there are barely 1 or 2 cases right now. How do you think that has happened? How has the state been able to contain this?
See, it's very simple. The more you go to the hill states or place which are not very well connected with the main so-called cities and the national capital and all, we have still very strong customary practice. The movement of the people, the activities are basically regulated by the administration, but these are under the supervision of the local community people. Like in Arunachal Pradesh, we have 2 cases so far. Both the cases were asymptomatic, and one is found to be negative. Another we found just yesterday. So one was a Tablighi Jamaat returnee who came from Delhi, and he was tested positive in Arunachal. Another is a local guy who came back from Delhi to Arunachal, and he is also asymptomatic, and he has been tested positive, but his condition is normal. So besides that, there is absolutely normal. That is because when the guidelines were issued, when the Prime Minister made the announcement for the lockdown, and when the state government came out with the policy of how to implement the lockdown announced by the Prime Minister, the local community immediately took upon themselves the responsibility of maintaining all those lockdown procedures. So community people play a crucial role, and the community people are being guided by the customary practice. So in Northeast and in Pahari states and in some of the rural areas in India, where we could able to contain the spread of the coronavirus, this pandemic, is because of the local behavior. So I think that there are certain things which the city people also can learn from the hill people, and that is the disciplined way of life, maintenance of the decorum within the society, as well as follow the guidelines of the government, be a good law-abiding citizen. These are some of the important factors which has played a key role. Now, it's a long-drawn battle. We will have to handle this situation. But as of now, why Northeast and the hill states have successfully maintained this lockdown as well as in containing the spread of the pandemic is because of the way people behave.
Sir, but now with the movement of migrants, we see a lot of our migrant brothers and sisters returning back to their home states. And I was looking at the figures, even for Arunachal, about 15,000 people are, moving back towards the state. Do you think the situation can change? And how do you think, we could learn and, adapt to this?
See, this is the biggest challenge. You can't stop the movement of the people for too long time. And in case of states like Northeast, lots of students and those who work in the cities, and now the institutions are closed, the businesses are closed, so they can't stay on without job for a long time. So government also has given certain relaxation for traveling. So most of them have returned back home. Now, what these state governments have done is to put these returnees in a quarantine center. So how to maintain their stay in a quarantine camp is something which we'll have to determine. There are lots of issues coming up. In some of the places we have seen, the people are quite agitated, thinking that they have found to be completely normal, negative, and still they are forced to put them into the quarantine centers. And there are certain people in the local level who are resisting, who are saying that since they have followed the lockdown, all the rules and regulation properly, why should the people from outside return back home and then spread the virus. So both sides you have to see. And I think the new challenges is how the large numbers of people coming from cities back to the rural areas are maintained in certain way of lifestyle, which will really not, damage the prospects. So for my personal individual is there needs to be a proper collaboration and understanding between the government guidelines and the local community, because government can issue guidelines unless this is being followed and implemented thoroughly and properly by the local community level along with the local administration. We will not be able to succeed. The success story of India so far is success in the say in the context of comparative statement. We are doing much better than the Western countries. And if you see the death rate, because that is the actual calculation, you can't hide, you can't manipulate the figure of the numbers of people who died. So that is the actual parameter of how you assess this pandemic. So what I feel is that the the local administration, the local community, and the government will have to have a long-term plan from now. Now we have seen last 2 months what has been the situation. Now this is the second phase of our way of life, because we can't keep our factories closed forever. We can't keep the restaurants closed forever. In my ministry, sports centers and stadia are being opened now. So like that, we have to unlock all the places which have been closed down for some time. So a new planning, a new way forward, a roadmap has to be prepared. And that is, you can't have the same kind of roadmap in Kerala and in Arunachal Pradesh. Delhi way of handling the situation will be different from Ladakh. So each state, the Prime Minister has already stated, each state government can have their own roadmap and own planning. So I think along with the guideline issued by the Home Ministry, the state government will have to come out along with the local community how to deal with this challenge. And I think we are in a position to handle with the situation, and we will overcome it.
I absolutely agree with you, sir, and especially on the point you made about how people in smaller states, especially the hill states, they have that sense of community. Even in my own state, I've seen how when people are returning back to their villages, the village elders are making sure that they observe the home quarantine or the institutional quarantine for 14 days, and there's almost like a social monitoring that is happening. So I'm sure the same is happening in the northeastern states also, and
Yes.
I wish my best for people there. So now coming back to things that I know you're really passionate about, sports and fitness. And we've seen even in regular times that you share your videos of playing various sports or just workouts. How has that changed during the lockdown, or has it changed at all?
See, what I have done is this lockdown should not have negative impact on my way of life, my daily lifestyle, in a situation where we are not able to go out as a normal situation. So, see, what is the primary necessary for a person in life is to stay active. You have to be active physically as well as mentally. If you don't do anything physically, if you don't involve your mind in an active manner, then it becomes idle. You don't really activate things, unless you are involved in it. So, in my own small compound, I have been trying to do certain activities. Even in a small room, also, you can maintain your physical fitness. And physical fitness doesn't mean that you play and do that rigorous conventional way of doing exercise and all. Not necessary. You can do exercise, good. You can play, better. But beside all these things also, there are certain ways and means how you can keep and maintain your fitness level. So I've been doing that, and rope skipping or jogging or walking around or exercise is not the same formula for everybody. And age wise, your own style, your comfort zone, and every physical condition of a person is different from other person, so you can maintain it. Now what I want to say is, we in India we are not very, fitness freak society. Most of people think that fitness is a luxury. Those who have extra time, they should do fitness. Those who are well-to-do, those who have space, those who can go to gym, those who can afford to play, they are into fitness business. That concept has to be changed. Fitness is universal. As I always say, sport has to be a culture. It has to be a way of life. So once that is, being adopted, that way of life is adopted, then fitness is just, automatically it will come into your way of life. So my always take on fitness level is that it is a way of life, and you have to do it, and it is not compulsory or nothing like compulsion and all. It has to be naturally inbuilt in the way you lead your life daily.
So I must say that movements like the Fit India movement, they really have had a change. They've brought a change into people's mindset. A lot of people who never used to work out have started working out and indulging in some physical activity. So maybe you could start another challenge, and we at BJYM would be all game to join you and do some physical activity in the next 1 month or so. Sir, one question that I'm sure you constantly asked is, how we fear that the Olympics are going to be postponed in all likelihood. And we know that the Indian contingent, you had been really working with them, and the sports authority had been working with them, then they were preparing for this. Uh, what would be your message to all these aspiring sports persons who are working really hard, and now the prospects of all of these games being postponed? So, what message do you have for them, sir?
As of now, we have shifted our gear because earlier our preparation was focused on the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, which was to start from July 23rd of 2020, but now postponed by 1 year. So the entire planning has shifted because you can't put, because we are not human, we are not machine, we are human being. So we have to prepare everything with a time frame in our mind, with a calendar and everything calculated. So we can't put an athlete in 1 year mode of preparation. 1 year is a long time in a journey of an athlete. So while we were preparing for Tokyo 2020, suddenly this pandemic happened. Now those who have qualified for the Olympics, I have told them, since there is going to be no new qualification matches and all, those who have qualified stand qualified. So since they are already qualified, their training schedules and their entire calendar will be prepared accordingly. They don't need to rush into any kind of championship or any that high level of preparation state of their body. That is one thing. There are another set of the events where the qualifications are going to take place. So India is already sending the largest ever contingent because our qualification is so far has been good. Now there are certain slots which we have to fill up, and for that we have to qualify. And qualification for Olympic is very stiff. It's very, very tough. So those players who are going to play qualification matches may not be immediately in next 3-4 months time, but certainly after 5-6 months, certainly the qualification matches will start. So for them, those probable athletes are also put in a different category. So we have planned out in detail. Since Sai, because I am the chairman of the Sports Authority of India, being the minister, we have drawn a proper plan, and now we have issued the SOP, a detailed SOP, which are the sports where the activities will start, the practice, the training will start, which are the other sporting disciplines where we can start later, which are the centers where we will give permission. So details have been worked out, and 2021 Tokyo 2020, I hope by that time situation will be under control. Human being, our human race has the ability to handle this kind of threat, and I'm very sure we will be able to handle it. And our long-term goal of making Tokyo Olympic as the best ever Olympics for India, and then the other plans for the future these are there in my mind. I'm very mindful of the visions which Prime Minister has already laid out, and I have already checked out those plans also. We will not fall short of our plan and our target. I'm very confident about it, and our athletes are happy that Sports Ministry and my department is fully on board, hands on with the issues, constantly in touch with them, not only the athletes, their trainers, their high coaches, high development, high performance directors, and other stakeholders. So I think our long-term goal of making India a sporting powerhouse and to create a sports culture in India, we are well on course, and we will do it.
Working with different sports federations and bodies to get sporting events on track. So my question to you would be that when do you think we will be able to open these sporting facilities for common citizens, who basically play sports to keep fit? A lot of youngsters, especially inspired by Prime Minister Modi and you, they've taken to sports in the past few years, and now they're all not able to play their favorite sports because of the lockdown. How do you think, sir, we will see this being eased in, say, the next 6 months?
And yeah, there has been slightly very disappointing for me personally, because just when I had taken a decision that all the sports facility will be available free of cost to the athletes, and this pandemic happened. Uh, See, the stadium and sporting complexes, these are open as of now. But to have spectators in any of the competing events is something which we can't imagine for immediate future. And major sporting events in India, which all the events have been postponed, are being thought about when to start. But we have to learn with this new normal of having a sporting event without spectators. At the same time, we have to also devise certain mechanism where these events are made interesting. They are made attractive, so that the connect with the sports lover, the spectators with the event, with the game, remains lively as it used to be. Normally, the games without spectators would be boring, but we have to ensure that we take certain measures so that the events are being kept interesting. At the same time, the sports federations are being asked to draw their own plan. I have already discussed with the Indian Olympic Association and the sports federations, and there are some leagues in India like IPL, ISL. You have UTT, badminton, table tennis, and you have wrestling, boxing. There are many local leagues also in India, so they'll also have to plan accordingly with the new challenges. But I'm sure as the society, India is really getting into the mode of creating sports culture in the society. There are many good feelers I'm getting, and I'm sure in next 2-3 months time we will have something on the ground. And I personally want to see sporting events back on the ground as soon as possible.
Sir, even if I talk about sports as a contributor to economic activity, I was reading somewhere that the sports industry in India is worth more than 6 lakh crores. And there are lakhs of people that it provides employment to, right from those maintaining these sporting facilities to those involved in broadcasting of matches and games. Uh, I would love for you to talk a little bit about how you see this industry coming back on its feet slowly, and what's your biggest worry probably about this?
Once the activities start, the business will also start. See, sports sector is a huge employment generator. From the manufacturing of the goods, the items for the sporting events, to the management, and those different kind of set of people who are directly or indirectly linked with the sports, from the clubs to the higher level federation level. At different level, lakhs and lakhs of people are employed under the sports sector, and they are unemployed now. But as I said, once we have started the activities, we have immediately opened up the sports complexes and the stadium. So once the facility is being opened, the activity will start, but it will not just kick off immediately, because since we have just come out of the relaxation and not fully lifted yet of the lockdown. So in a controlled manner, we will see certain activities. So the SOP has been very clear how the practice will start, how and in what way the athletes are to perform in particular their respective disciplines. These are well laid down. So once the activities start, the events will also follow thereafter. Once the events start, then the industry will pick up. And sports industry is not only economic generator, it creates happiness. It creates life in the people. You know, I must tell you this situation. So Olympic is the biggest event on the planet. There's nothing, no event on this earth, bigger event than Olympics. And if you win a tournament or you win a World Cup, you win a gold medal, the celebration unites the country. The celebration unites the nation and the society. For example, if India achieves something big in economic thing, or say India gets a membership in the Security Council as a permanent member, or India scores something big, these are prestigious, but these are celebrated by only elites who understand it. The common people do not know. But if India wins World Cup championship, or if India wins Olympic gold, it is celebrated by everyone. So the amount of happiness it generates is unthinkable. Some time ago, I have read that when Brazil wins the Football World Cup, it's equivalent to 2% jump in the GDP. The happiness index rises so much. Once you perform and you achieve certain things which elevates the prestige of a nation, you can't compare that with any other situation. So we have to learn in India that India is an emerging nation. And while India is emerging, we cannot afford to lie down in the sporting arena. So the achievement in the world of sports is absolutely necessary for an important and big and emerging country like India. So that is why happiness is something which everybody aspires for. And without sports, life becomes dull and boring. So I personally want sporting event to take place as soon as possible.
I absolutely agree with you, sir. I still remember, every time Hima Das wins a medal for India, I feel as if I have won a medal. So I think it's, the kind of happiness that sports persons and sporting events generate. It's something that you can only feel. Sir, since we are live and a lot of questions are coming in, I'm going to try and take some of those questions also. Sir, we have a question from Somoji Ji. He says that Modi government has always promoted indigenous sports, and with Khelo India, we brought national attention to games such as kabaddi and kho-kho. And the government, we know that is providing financial assistance to all sportsmen. Will this be extended to, some of these indigenous sportsmen also?
Yes, an important decision which I had taken in last 1 year is to extend financial support to non-Olympic sports which are indigenous games of India. Initially, we have started with like Kho-Kho, Malkham, Thantha, a Manipuri game, Kalaripattu. So there are some indigenous games which are not Olympic sports or Asian Games sport, but which are important for our society. And we, as a Indian, we have seen some of these games in our childhood days. So we have already started giving financial support, and we have recognized them. Maybe next year or next to next year, we can have one indigenous games in India. Uh, See, the state governments are also taking some steps, but what I have seen and which I want to share with our BJYM friends is that the state government do not give priority to the sports in terms of budgetary allocation. So most of the sports persons are suffering, especially those who play indigenous sports do not have a career prospects in that particular field. So when you don't see a career prospect in a particular field, you will quit, you will leave. So what I want is anybody who has played games, who has made some mark in a particular sporting discipline, will be supported by the government. So not only the indigenous sports, I have picked up certain individuals who have done good for India, but who are having a difficult time financially. I have modified the government policy in my ministry, and I have extended certain financial help also. These are very important. We have to take care of our sports person. Sports has to be a career option. Otherwise, sports cannot grow in our society.
Srinivas Gora, he's somebody who you found on Twitter. Somebody had tweeted about him, and then you offered help to him. And we recently saw Jyoti Kumari, who cycled from Gurgaon to Darbhanga. We know that you've offered her help, and she's going to be called for trials. So it's really heartening to have a leadership who has its ear to the ground. And going forward, we have a lot of people who are asking about, what have you been doing this lockdown in terms of have you been able to spend more time with your family? We know both your kids are home, and I know your son studies here in Doon School in Dehradun. He's home too because school's closed. So how has it been? I think a lot of our young friends are curious about has this given you an opportunity to spend a little more time? I know you have your hands full with all the work, but have things gotten better on that front?
Well, for the family, it's a big change because they get to see me all the time. Otherwise, I was hardly home except when I'm in Delhi and in the night. But now I'm all the time at home most of the time, in fact. And my children are also busy taking online classes, and there is a small place in the backyard. So my elder son, he plays tennis, so he keeps hitting tennis ball all alone. And this lockdown has given me lots of space to think about what else can be done. And since I have seen the world, I've traveled, worldwide. I've traveled more than 150 countries, and I've seen the world. And now, because of we have the facilities, we have the all kind of things available in internet, we can learn many things. Knowledge is the real power of human being. We can gather so many informations. If you are well equipped with the informations around the globe, then you are more empowered. So besides our daily busy work, we need to study more. So I got lots of opportunity in this lockdown period to read and watch so many things, and some of those things which I have learned long time back and which I have never revisited again, I could redefine myself. I could refresh my mind and see through all those things again. So as a human being, I feel that uh, we have done so many things, but it's never enough. We have to do much more. And this particular lockdown time, I have seen some good movies also, and I have watched some good programs. And YouTube is a very handy. You can type and get things as you wish, and you get to read so many things. So it's a mix of the thing. We have lost out on many front, but we have learned new things in the process.
So, is there a movie that you would recommend that people could watch?
Film.
Yeah.
No, I've seen all movies. I don't see new movies unless it is you know, everybody's choice. Something like Three Idiots, a very good
Okay.
movie,
Yeah.
and like that. I don't watch new movies. I watch those classic movies, old one, because uh, new. I always feel that new I can watch anytime, but old
Right.
you have missed out. So it's good
Yeah.
to get back some of the classic in your hand and see how it was done. And old songs, I love old songs. I love
Mhm.
Hindi songs, especially old. I don't listen to songs which were made after 1975, 76. All the songs before that, they
Uh,
were, a song which touches my heart. And these
mm.
days, the songs are just for fun. You can listen to it, good, but it doesn't touch my heart.
Okay, sir. I think a lot of people are watching you, and maybe they will start composing songs that connect with you more. So here's a tip for them. Sir, Sunil Kumarji is asking a question. He's saying, "What's your vision about Formula circuits in India? Formula One circuits in India?"
Yes, this formula people came to me, and we have one formula circuit in the Gautam Buddha Nagar, which is considered as a world class, which has been now almost just being kept unutilized. So I am ready to assist. Let's see. I need to discuss with them again. And actually, people in India think that motor sports is a elite sports, but actually it's more like adventurous. It's not elite sports; it's adventurous. So you can't classify that as a sport for a class of people. So I would love to have more adventure sports, whether it's Formula One or motorbike or anything like car racing and all. These are important sports. As country becomes more prosperous, I think motorsports will also increase in India, and I'm ready to support. Let's see how we can discuss about it, and we'll see.
So another question that has come is that sports like cricket, which was so popular and played across streets, has been vanishing and becoming more club-based or elite, and only who can, afford to play it can play it now. So, what are your thoughts on this, sir?
See, cricket is basically, if you see the background, it's a colonial sport. Initially the Britishers, the officers used to bat, and they used to tell the Indians to go run, throw the ball, and the officers will bat. So that is how the cricket game emerged. And our Indian psyche is anything developed by the white people are being treated as a much superior game. Otherwise, we have such beautiful games. Our Indian indigenous sports like kabaddi, kho-kho, these are beautiful games. But for me, all the games and sports are equal. Cricket is also important. But what is being asked is that because of the restriction, the cricket is being confined to clubs and all. But see, I, as a minister, cannot regulate how a sport or a particular game has to be promoted. It is the liking of the individual, and individual club level or at any state level, they can take forward any sport whatever they like. I will have to just give support. I'll have to ensure that all the sporting disciplines are given equal priority. But since cricket is played by few countries, Commonwealth nations within those areas, and Commonwealth also not all the Commonwealth nations like Malaysia or Nigeria or Canada and Singapore, most of the Commonwealth games do play cricket, but some of them they don't play cricket. And other than the British Empire, nobody is actually taking cricket seriously. So within the Commonwealth, within South Asia, cricket is very popular. But we have to ensure that we have to rise the level of our sports in Olympic Games. All the Olympic sports are to be given lots of priority, because the actual definition of a ranking of a country in the world of sports is defined in the Olympics. So that is where we have to do well. Cricket has become commercially successful because most of the Indians watch cricket. If you watch cricket or you watch any game, it will bring money. Money is what? How much people involved in that particular game. If people see a particular game in large number, money will come. So I would request not only cricket, I would request my fellow Indian to promote all the sports. Government side, I am promoting all the sports equally. Cricket, we don't give money because cricket generates lots of money by itself. Because half of the Indians are watching cricket all the time. So it generates lots of money. But other Olympic sports, we can't generate money because we don't watch. Unless there is a PV Sindhu playing Olympic final or Sushil Kumar fighting the final of the Olympic wrestling, people don't watch. So people have to enjoy, like UTT, Ultimate Table Tennis. Very interesting. But when I saw last time, the stadium was not, filled up by the people. So unless people involved, there is no chance of generating good amount of money. And when there is no money, it doesn't attract the youths. You have to have money these days. Commercial success is important, and it's directly linked with the progress of a sport.
So I watched a recent interview of yours, and there you said that 2028 LA Olympics, India will be in the top 10. And a lot of people, I'm sure, who have watched it are thinking, why did he say 2028? And I think we'd love for you to talk a little bit about this.
See, it's easy to dream, but it's much more difficult to achieve that dream. But when I say something, I have a definite plan in my mind and with full confidence. India is a large country. There are certain sports which bring lots of medals in Olympics, which India has been very poor. Our ranking in the global arena has been very, very low. Some of the sports we are picking up fast, like boxing, wrestling, archery, shooting, badminton. There are certain disciplines where India can be, able to compete with any of the best teams in the world. But there are other disciplines like swimming, athletics, basketball, football. There are many other disciplines where India is very, very poorly ranked in the global ranking system. Now, I have made a calculation that India is a large country with 1.3 billion population. If we can devote our time, resources, and do proper planning, India can definitely figure there in the top 10 ranking. Like, even if India wins, say, 5 to 6 gold medal, we will be still there around 13, 14 rank. But by 2028, why can't India be there? For that, what I have done is, I will tell you in short. We have started this scouting of talent at a young age, raw talents. So we have formed a special, committee under Khelo India, and it's a region-wise. India has been divided into various regions. So they are going to identify the young talents at a very young age and put them under trials and then pick them up into side training academies. So we have numbers of Sports Authority of India training schools, training centers all across the country. And then we have important events like Khelo India Games. These are for the young people. So during Khelo India also, we pick up and identify some of the young talents, and we see their records and they are picked up. In the same manner, we have planned out with the federations. We are giving financial support to the federations. They plan out an annual calendar of their games. So we give them financial support. If we find anybody is worth providing additional support to make him a world champion, then we provide all support. Like right now, for the benefit of our BJYM friends, I want to tell you, it's very few country in this world who is doing so much as we are doing. We are providing free food to all the athletes who are in the Sai camp. Yesterday only I signed 8.5 crore rupees, and I have given pocket money for all the athletes who are under training in our Sai camps. All the top athletes, tops, TOPS, tops. This is Target Olympic Podium Scheme. Those athletes who have a prospect in winning medals in the Olympics are put in the tops. They are given 50,000 rupees per month pocket allowances, so that the family members of those athletes do not have to think about arranging extra money for the athlete. We are absolutely taking care of them. Their training is free, their accommodation is free, their traveling, everything is free, including their foreign exposure trip. Even an athlete wants to go to Germany for a particular conditioning camp or any particular special course. That money also we are providing from the government of India. And coaches, some of the international coaches, you will be surprised how much they charge. It's very less chance to get a top level coach below 10, 11 lakhs per month. We have got all the top coaches of the world, and we are paying it from the sports ministry, and we are giving best of the coaching facilities and equipments to our athletes. So with all this preparation, and more than 15,000 young athletes already identified, we are on the verge of starting a new group of categories of identify young talents and keeping them and putting them into a separate training camp for the young athletes. Taking into account all this preparation, I am saying the life cycle of an athlete from his young age to becoming a world champion, it is normally a cycle of 8 years. So we have started this in a very intensive manner, all the preparations, say in 2019 and 20. The result will come in 2028. That is why I said by 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, India will be in the top 10 in the world ranking. And I'm saying it not just because I wish to say it. I'm saying it because we are preparing to achieve that target.
That's great, sir. It's great to see that you just don't have a goal; you also have a plan in place to achieve that goal, and the entire country is with you and all our sports persons in this. So, another question or suggestion that I see here is that could yoga be included in sports or as a sport in education, the education system? Sir, would you want to take that?
Yeah, I can see Ruchi Minakshi Thakur.
Yes, Ruchi. Ruchi is our BJYM member from Chandigarh.
She seems to be very active. She's state secretary. So yoga, we have already planned out, and hopefully because of the COVID thing, we have delayed our plan. But we are going to declare yoga as a sport very soon. All the plans are ready. So once we form the International Yoga Federation, in the sport, not the yoga present one, but the sports federation, then we will try to include that in Asian Games, and in future maybe, who knows, someday in Olympics. But yoga as sports is a priority, and I have discussed with the Ayush Ministry, and everything is ready. I just have to take a call when to declare yoga as a sport. I'm not declaring now only because we have not formed the format. Because once we declare as a sport, we have to talk about the scoring system, we have to talk about the management, the governing system. Once these are in place, we will declare it. I don't want to declare it right now without full preparations. And it is our asset. Yoga is India's gift to the world. So we take pride in that. And when we declare yoga as a sport, I think we will also excel in that particular field.
So I think what you just said has been music to the ears of Ruchi and many more yoga enthusiasts all around the country. So thank you for sharing that with us, sir. So as we go towards the end of our program today, one question that I personally want to ask you is that what has been your biggest cause of stress during this lockdown as a leader and as a human being?
No, I don't get stressed at all in my lifetime. In fact, those people who are close to me, they get surprised after traveling for 2 days, 3 days. I'm normal. I never get tired. Suppose if I run 100 meter and all, that tiredness is different. But I don't get tired by working. In Arunachal Pradesh, when I was in opposition, the Congress, because those days nobody can win from opposition party in a state like Arunachal Pradesh because the ruling government dominates so much and the area is so big that the opposition people cannot reach out to the people. What I did was I used to travel from village to village, from town to town, by road, sometimes on foot march, carrying food, and taking along my young friends. We will just walk, 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 and meet people village to village. I never get tired. So I've seen that when I was trying to reach out to the people. In fact, each village meeting with each group energize you more. So you gather energy. You don't get tired. In the same way, now in the sitting as a minister, holding certain portfolios and responsibilities, the more you achieve, the more satisfaction and energy you get. So it's the mindset which actually determines your level of performance. My energy level is determined by my performance. The more I perform, my energy level goes up. I don't get tired. Never ever in my lifetime. I never get tired of working. I just love to keep working and keep moving. And that is a very simple way of life. Why should you get tired? Life is short. See, I'm not trying to be philosophical, but my way of looking at life is simple. Our life is very short. We wish we live longer, but we can't change the destiny. Below 18 years of age, you are too young to do many things. You can just play and have fun. Above 65, 70, you don't do much. You are semi-retirement and then you retire finally. So the actual span of time where you can really perform is very limited. So within that limited span of time, if somebody says that he is tired, if somebody says that he is bored, somebody says that time pass करना है, मैं समझता हूँ ये तो बेवकूफ़ी है. हम तो I want more time. And some people say that time pass करना है. Time is the most precious thing, and you should be able to utilize that, no matter of how much difficult the thing is. But we should enjoy working. You enjoy working, you will love working. If you don't enjoy, you will not love it. And once you love doing something, then that is the source of energy in your life.
So, and we hope and pray that your energy levels keep up the same way. Our best wishes to you, sir. Sir, our last question for today would be that we are going through a tough time, and each of us is facing some challenge or the other, whether it's on the financial front or whether it's on the personal front. What would be your message to the youth of the country today? How can they contribute to rebuilding our economy? How can they contribute to how can they stay positive despite all of these challenges? And what is your expectation as a leader from them?
See, we have two objectives in life. One is to make your country great. One is to make your life useful, purposeful. When you are working in an organization like BJYM, you are headed by a very efficient President Poonam Mahajan, who is not only very fiery and very good orator, but who is also knowledgeable, who is very hardworking. Now, everybody, those who are in BJYM, invariably has a dream to make India a great nation. So, if we start thinking about what I can do for my country, that we can spread this message everywhere. What is happening? Some of the negative people are spreading these negative messages around the world. हर चीज सरकार को करना है. ट्रेन में जाएगा उसका सफाई उफाई सरकार को करना है. इधर में गली में जाएगा उसको सफाई करना है, वो सरकार को करना है. Government has to handle certain things. but to manage and run, it's the responsibility of the citizens. If everybody starts saying the government ye karna hai, government wo karna hai, government is what? Government is made by the people only. Government is here to make things easier. Government is never there an obstacle. But the thing is, if we citizens become lazy, if we become too much dependent on the government, then we cannot make our country great. Country can be made great by the people, not by the government. The government can only guide. So the citizens of a nation will have to determine that whether you want to make your nation great or not. You see globally, those countries who have emerged strong, they had a revolution, whether it's American Revolution, Chinese Revolution, Russian Revolution, Spanish, French, every country had a revolution. We in India, we never had a revolution. We just had a freedom. We were ruled by the foreigners for thousands of years. Firstly, the invaders from West Asia, from Central Asia, and the Western Europeans. And we just got freedom because of the situation. We never went through any kind of a bloodshed revolution. So there is no corrective course in the history of India. We just moved with the situation. So in this kind of situation, what we can do is we can rededicate ourselves to make our country great. So we have to make sure that while we talk about duty, responsibility has to be made more important than right. We have a duty, we have responsibility. That has to be always there in mind. Otherwise, these liberal left people, they keep questioning the authority and the government. They put everything as if it's a responsibility of the government. Once we know that yes, we have rights, there are fundamental rights, but along with the fundamental rights, we have fundamental duties. Fundamental duties prescribe the responsibilities of the citizens, then we will be good. So otherwise, we will always remain unhappy. Whatever we have, we should be proud of being Indian, and India is a great country. But just merely glorifying our past will not lead us anywhere. The future challenge is too real, and we have to make sure that every individual contributes. And as I said, if you say history, if the group of people from 18 years to 35 years, that is the young group, if that group determines, nothing can stop the country's progress. So today's youth, our BJYM is a very strong force, and we can definitely make indelible impact into the mind of the people to ensure that not only proud Indian, but we make India a great nation. I think BJYMs are lucky to have all good lecture series and good interactions and many exposure events and all. So I'm sure you will get much more lessons. But today, I just have to say that we are lucky to be led by very visionary, dynamic Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. I am as a member of his Council of Ministers. We are guided by his vision and fortunate to have have this opportunity to serve the society, serve the nation. And our BJYM has been the main source of BJP's strength, because BJP has a solid backing of the youth. BJYM is a very important part of our party and the youth force. And people like you, Neha, you all are asset to the party, and we hope that you all will get larger, bigger responsibilities in very near future.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saying that. And sir, I assure you that under Poonamji, we've been working very hard in all our capacities. And in the future also, BJYM will stand with the government and with the nation, and we'll do whatever we can to make sure that we are back on track. This is a minor setback. We can do much better, and we will do it. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today. And before we say bye to you, because you mentioned that you love listening to old Hindi songs, we are getting a lot of requests about what your favorite song is, and if you could maybe sing or say whatever you're comfortable with, 2 lines of a song that you really like.
No, I can sing many songs, but right now I'm not in a mood to sing. But uh,
So you
I
can
can
just tell us.
recommend I can recommend many songs of the old Hindi movies. YouTube is such a beautiful platform. You can not only listen, but you can see them also.
Right.
See uh, those songs of black and white. Don't think that black and white hai purana hai boring hai nahi. You go to the content of the song and the lyrics and the music. Very soulful, and those great songs composed by before even R.D. Burman, Sahir Ludhianvi's, all those songs. Just listen to them. Khayyam music are so heart touching. And when I'm alone, I listen to these old songs. It gives so much of beautiful thoughts in mind. And I just love to tell my young people that listen to new music also, and don't forget the old songs at the same time. Listen to
This is
all the good songs.
So thank you so much, sir. We'll catch you another time and make sure that you'll maybe sing a song for us. But thank you so much for joining us today. A lot of things that you said were not in the public domain. So especially your comments about yoga. We are getting a lot of messages even as we speak about people thanking you for making sure that yoga is made a part, is declared as a sport, and there's a formal system in place for it. So thank you for sharing all of that. This has been really, really meaningful. And we're always glad to get all the support that you've given to BJYM. So thank you again, sir. And we hope that you stay fit, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.